first? Who? Got first base. Who? Got first. Who is on first? What are you asking me for? I'm asking you.
What is up, everybody? I am Tim Ellerbrook, and I'm here with my good friend Brian Caplinger, and welcome to this episode of Who's on First. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, and a little bit better sounding voice than you at the moment with you dealing with some allergy and sickness, but I'm still glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks. This area is getting kicked right now. Maybe it's not the area, maybe it's just me, and I have a weak
I wouldn't go that far.
And sinus system.
There's a lot of people, my daughter included, as one of them that's been dealing with it. So
yeah, some friends hit some friends as well. So sorry guys, this is a day late, but I'm trying to squeeze it in as best as I can. But real quick before we jump in, thanks again for listening. You can follow us on all the socials at WOFBB Podcasts on X and YouTube and everything. Always appreciate it if anybody comments and leave some notes. We're trying to get it as best we can and just have some fun conversations. Today, for this episode, I thought it would be fun, and Brian as well, it's not just me, obviously, would be cool to just do a kind of a Cardinals deep dive. That's our local team, and obviously with fans and baseball nerds. Thought it'd be a deep dive to kind of GM this whole thing and turn it around. The last 7 games the Cardinals are 3-4, but they have a 2-10 record on the road. So 2 wins, 10 losses. Right. To say that correctly. They are 2-10 on the road. And the main thing that's happening, obviously, and everybody that's watching it is seeing it, is the bullpen is blowing everything up. And so I was like, you know what? Instead of whining about it like we do, because we're fans and everybody hates seeing losses, I was like, you know what? Let's fix this thing, because we know that Mo and company are listening and want our advice.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, with some of the recent transactions, we thought they were going to go different ways, but we said we would do it the way that they're actually doing it.
That's true. Maybe they really are.
Maybe secretly they are chiming in and getting some thoughts and running some things down.
Cardinals, we love you. We really, really do. If we say mean things, it's just because we're passionate for a moment. But before we get started, I'm going to throw a couple qualifying statements out for some rules for this, but this will be fun, guys. So the last 7 games, the Cardinals are 3-4, so 3 wins, 4 losses. 3 of those 4 losses were blown leads by the bullpen. So if the bullpen didn't blow them, and I believe, and Brian might be able to fact check me, I don't know if it was 1-run blow-ups or multiple run blow-ups. So like if the bullpen came in and only let 1 run through, we still would have won all 3. Do you know? I should have looked that up, so sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I think there's at least 2 of the 3, absolutely. That is the case.
2 of the 3, okay.
So one might have been a multiple run lead.
So if the bullpen didn't blow, we'll just say 2 of the 4 losses, if the bullpen only let 1 run through, we would have came away with 5 wins and, 2 losses? 5, 6, 7? Yeah. We would have been 5-2. So obviously, and everybody that's watching knows that the bullpen's kind of been messing up a little bit and going through some stuff. They're having some really hard times. So yeah, let's fix this thing. I'm gonna put a couple statements, our qualifiers for us, in the moves that we've prepped. The front office and the ownership has said we're not really spending money. They want to keep payroll, so we're not gonna go bring in a free agent for $10 million or $5 million.
Right.
This season is also said to have been a runway, a something season. Basically, we want to see some players and what they can offer in 26 and to be able to build around. And trades are possible, but they have to be very realistic. And the qualifier for the trade is most teams are not going to trade in April and May. All 30 baseball teams, and maybe not 30, but maybe 26 or 27, are not going to want to do anything because everybody wants to see what their roster's like after a couple months. So the moves are going to be realistic. A couple stats I want to throw to you, Brian, then I'll hit you first. The bullpen team-wide ERA is 25th in baseball. So Out of 30 teams, they're the 5th worst. They're at number 25, and their ERA is 4.97. But the catch is, at home, the bullpen is 10th in baseball, 10th best, at ERA of 2.64. But in away games, take a guess. What number out of 30 are they?
Oh, they got to be like 28th.
30th.
Wow. Makes sense.
They are the absolute worst bullpen in baseball at away games.
I mean, they're
which means the Rockies and the White Sox are better.
And it speaks to the record on the road too.
100%, yep.
So I mean, it makes sense.
So I thought that qualifier would be good to throw out because it's somehow in some games they're not terrible, but in some games they are. In particular, I feel like some moves that have already been made have to be thrown out there because Fernandez has an ERA of 19.6 at away games and 5.4 at home games, but he's optioned, so he's technically not in the 8-man bullpen right now, just because he's in AAA.
Right, he's in AAA. He got moved down. O'Brien got the call up.
Yeah, got called up
in his place, and we have yet to see him throw since he's been called up.
O'Brien?
Correct?
No, he did a cleanup.
Yesterday?
Was it yesterday's
Sunday?
game? No, 2 games. He cleaned up for Romero from something. He did like a 0.1 inning or 0.2 innings.
Okay, so I stand corrected.
I think it was actually just
an out.
Yeah, an out. The last person I want to mention, Romero, so the lefty, and you would probably say he's the most relied upon lefty for clutch for big situations. He has a 12.6 ERA at away games and a 2 ERA at home games. So obviously, at some cases, and we're not breaking down every case because Romero might have a lucky inning at home where
he did Saturday. He came in, got the outs he needed, didn't give up anything, looked a little bit better. But again, that just goes to the same stat you were sharing. His home, performances haven't been bad. It's what you expect out of Romero. It's, again, I think overall it's the road discrepancies.
Yeah. So with that being said, Brian, what's the first move that you would do?
Well, I mean, I think, for me, I think they did it already. I think the big thing was, going back a couple of weeks, we had even talked about it. Watching Fernandez, he's in his own head. He is so out of sorts. It didn't matter where he was. And so I had mentioned to you, I was like, he's got to go down to AAA until he can get his head right. And I think they made that move. Now, for me, I like the idea of calling up Riley O'Brien. He does have an electric fastball. He's got promise. Mm-hmm. I think the challenge is going to be on Ollie, honestly, when to get him in the right moments. I mean, we do need people that you can count on. I mean, Maton's been that guy. Kyle Leahy's been that guy in most of the season, but they're both righties. You're starting to run into that issue where there's not this lefty, especially on the road, that you can bring into the game. Because King, though he is the lefty specialist, right now he's struggling to really, in my opinion, put batters away. It's not that his stuff is horrendous. I think it's on par with what he's done in previous years. I just don't know if hitters are seeing it better. And it's a higher rate of contact, in my opinion.
For Fernandez or Romero?
No, I'm talking about John King.
John King,
right there. So now, Romero, again, what a difference home and away is for him. Mm-hmm. Like, that to me is like just insane, and I'm not in there, obviously, but if I'm Ollie, my first thought is I want to sit down and have a conversation with him and find out what's the thought process home and away?
Yeah, which we know they've done. Right. That's information that we're never going to have for sure.
And so it's like, because how can you go from looking like, not that he's a world beater at home, but I mean, quality.
Yeah.
To being basically irrelevant on the road.
So let me find this out while we're sitting here. So at home, let me see. I need to do splits.
Right.
at home. Okay, so I was thinking about how many innings pitched for those two at home and away games. So King has 2.1 innings at home, and Romero has 5 innings at home. And King has how many innings? Let me go to advanced. Sorry, guys. King has 5.2 innings away, and Romero has 4.1 innings away. So King's pitched away more than he has home. Because the thing I was going to throw out there, King has a 0 ERA at home, which means he's not had a run across. But he's also only pitched 2.1 innings.
Right. And I would say even on the away, a couple of the innings he's pitched on the away side, games have been out of hand. And one of them, I believe, was the Boston game where they were up huge.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, that's a very low leverage situation. Obviously, you don't want the other team to score any more runs, but at the same time, you're not going through stress. If you give up a couple hits there, who cares at this point?
So the tricky thing is with the depth that we have, before we get into names like moves that we make, the really tough thing is there's no lefty pitchers on the 40-man aside from Romero and King.
Right.
So we'll throw these names out there. All of the pitchers that are on the 40-man right now are Sim Robersa, Michael McGreevy, Gordon Graceffo, Rodri Munoz, and they're technically all starters. I think Munoz is actually a reliever. I think that's listed wrong, but they're all righties. Relief core options are Ryan Ludis, Ryan Fernandez, and Chris Roycroft, who are all righties. And then the last two pitchers that are not in Memphis and AAA, they're in AA, is Hintz and Roby, and they're also righties.
Right.
So the only lefty, technically, and he's not on the 40-man, the only lefty in Memphis is I don't even know how to pronounce his name, man. Adinair Mosakata. I'm sorry, dude.
If you're listening, please call us, text us, something. Let us know.
But he's not on the 40-man. So if we wanted to bring him up, and we don't even know if he's good, I haven't looked into his stuff. Right. That requires the release or assignment for somebody else. So anyway, continue what you're saying.
Well, no, I mean that's been the struggle. We don't. I mean, up and down. I mean, most of our lefties are what we would consider future starters. And so even the ones that you would consider potentially bringing up from the left-hand side, I mean, you could, but you take a chance on getting them out of their prep and rhythm for what you want as a starter. Unfortunately, like, I think good and bad to some degree. Palante, who is a right-hander but does really, really good. His splits against lefties were tremendous. We've got him out of the bullpen, obviously now in the starting rotation. Yeah. So it's not like you can go back there. Steven Matz has been in and out, and although he's looked good, he's back in to the six-man rotation, so he's not going to be available. And I think, when you talk about a six-man, and maybe this is the spread, and the issues within that is it hampers your bullpen because you lose an arm in the bullpen right there.
Yeah, so it takes you down to 7.
Right, and I understand the desire because we do technically have what I would consider an older starting rotation, with the exception of Matthew Liberatore. Most of those, Palante's not old either, but most of those guys are aged. Sonny Gray, Fetty, Michaelis,
and Palante are the same age.
Right, and even Steven Matz, he's older. Right. So, 4 of the 6 guys you've got going are considered older. And so I get the notion of you want to save some innings by going to a 6-man. But when you do that, the other 5 games, it does hamper your bullpen. Yeah. And I think we're starting to see that. I mean, if you want, the bullpen consists right now. This is what it looks like with Matz in the 6th starting. You've got Helsley, who's only going to come in closing and saved opportunities type of deal. You got Maton, Leahy, Romero, O'Brien, King, and Savanson. That's it. None of those guys, you were hoping that Romero and King would be what they were last year.
Yeah. I think this is a result of a good move, but a bad result of putting Libby in the rotation. Liberatore has the better ceiling to have start. And every organization and every baseball team and every fan would say starters are way more valuable to their team than relievers. They're going to give you 5 to 6 innings a game versus 1 inning here and there from, as relievers. And they're going to be more consistent, hypothetically. They're going to have more routines. They're more valuable to your team. But Liberatore was also one of the most reliable lefties in the second half last year because Romero dipped, I think, in August.
Yeah.
He went really, really downhill.
Yeah.
The second problem that this comes from is Packy Naughton being injured for almost 2 years at this point.
Right.
Because that was a
you
pickup.
could throw Zach Thompson in that mix
Zach
as
Thompson
well.
was also, yeah.
Right.
So technically, the bullpen has better, on paper, should have been better with the options that they had brought to the table, but they're injured. And we didn't start the season with Packy Naughton or Zach Thompson because they were both injured out of the gate.
And we knew that going in, and I think that's where like the mentality of this season, being that they wanted it to be a runway season, kind of a retool season, if you will, where they gave a lot of these younger guys runway, not just on the offensive side, but even on the pitching side. That's why I think Palante has a much larger leash than he did last year. And so when he gives up a few runs, they want to see if he can get out of it. And so they're not going to just kind of pull the hook on him quick. Liberatore being in the starting rotation, they want to give him a full run, at least a month. But here's where...
Probably more than that.
Right. But here's where the downside comes in with a lot of that. Is because you're taking... Liberatore, who was a quality relief left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen last year, you don't have his services. And then, again, going back, you throw Matz into a six-man, which I have some arguments about that point, you know, and we can get into that. Some people are going to disagree with me. I just would have rather... I mean, Steven Matz has looked good. Don't get me wrong. He's looked good this year. I would have rather have had McGreevy in that sixth-man rotation so Matz could stay in the bullpen.
So let's go there. If you're going to do that, so you're going to bring McGreevy up. Who's the pitcher that goes down in place of him? Because he has to take the place of somebody else.
Right.
Could be a starter, could be reliever. In the essence, that number doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because with that move, you're putting Matz in the bullpen, right?
Yes, you're moving Matz to the bullpen, in my opinion. So, the names that get, obviously that come out of there, not, again, this isn't a reflection on what they've done this year, but that the bottom three, in my opinion, that you then consider moving back down or whatever the case may be, would have been O'Brien, King, or even Savanson. Does he ever come up if that's the case?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, he never comes up if that's the case because McGreevy goes in his slot right there.
Yeah.
And so he's never called up, so you don't burn an option on him, number one.
Yeah.
And then you have a guy where even if you do want to see what Steven Matz has in a spot start every so often, flip him in McGreevy. McGreevy can still be an asset for long relief out of the bullpen.
Ooh, I don't know that I would do that at all. Just because... That's kind of like Liberatore 2.0. If you move a young pitcher back and forth, are you screwing up their routine? Now, you could make a case for this year it's working out because Liberatore's starting and he's fine. We're a month in, so we don't have any data yet, but I don't know. That one's tricky for me. I don't know that I could do that just to have him spot. Like if he's coming up here to spot start, sure. Then go back down.
That gets tricky move too because then you talk about McGreevy, at least based on Fangraph studies, he's only got 2 options. Now, granted, a lot of people get confused by this, but when you're talking options, you burn an option, just one option a year. And that player can go up and down 5 times within the year.
I think it's a good
under that one option. Yeah. So it's not like he can only be called up and sent down twice.
Yeah, correct.
This year, there's multiple times he could be called up or sent down.
Right.
and only burn one option. So you do have a little bit more flexibility with McGreevy than you do maybe, let's say, some of the other options that you'd want to look at. So I think you could do that.
Actually, that's a really good. So the only thing though, the one thing I think to also add is when you do option a player, it requires a 15-day
Right. They can't
with
move.
window.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, essentially you're saying 2 starts for a guy.
3, right? 15 days is...
Well, if you're doing a 6-man rotation, you're only talking really 2 starts before that time frame's up.
So would that have worked out at the calendar? Well, let's look at that real quick. Schedule. So if... Obviously, we can't do that anymore, but the spot start for Matt's, I think, is Wednesday.
Yes.
So that would require an option of a king.
Yeah, because King has an option to work with, right? Yeah.
So you're going to send King down and bring McGreevy up on Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Matt's never leaves the bullpen, and then after that start is over, you're going to send McGreevy back down and bring up somebody else.
Well, I mean, you'd have to wait because you can't just send him back down immediately.
Yeah, you can. You can't bring him back up
for 15 days.
Yeah,
right.
So the options only apply. I did read this. The option only applies when it goes down, not when it goes
not
up.
Yeah, right.
So that 15-day, there's a name for it.
I know what you're saying.
No, I don't remember it. But that only applies when they go down, so you can't bring him. Like Fernandez is not available for
another week, right? Essentially from when he was moved. Yeah, so like that, yeah. I mean, and again, you're playing with, fire, obviously, because it's a lot of moving pieces for a team to have to consider. And plus you're wanting to look at what the schedule looks like, all of that, because obviously you don't want to call a player up from Memphis when you're on the West Coast. And so that's why, like, you're seeing, like, even, again, talk about the offensive side, you're seeing Sagasi go down and Barrero come up. Well, he's coming up in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not as big of a transition for him to get to Cincinnati.
Yeah, because Memphis is
right
Unless
there.
they're on the road, which I don't know if they were.
I don't know either.
So that was actually my first move. So you took it. I was going to send King down just simply to... keep Matt in the bullpen, and then the reliever I would have brought up, honestly, would have been Roycroft, and I would fudge him I'd swap him and McGreevy in that instance.
Okay.
In that spot. Now, when the thing is, there has to be a third player involved because, so if you're going to bring McGreevy up, that means King has to go down. After McGreevy's spot start, he's going to go back down, which means you have to bring somebody else up.
Right.
Which I would make that. Where's his name? Takao Roby.
That's a jump.
It is a jump, and it's a 40-man. The tricky thing is, and this could be a horrible move, and everybody thinks it's dumb, and that's fine. He hasn't had a season in the last 2 years where he's thrown like more than 40 innings or 60 or something. So key for him is getting through a year just healthy.
Right. And that's why he's in Double-A right now. Let's just be real. That's why they have put him in Double-A, because there's a plethora of arms there that they can go up and down with to manage his innings.
Totally. And he's starting right now.
Yes.
Which you want all your prospects starting. You're not putting a prospect in the reliever role until they get to maybe Memphis and they put on the 40-man or something. But when he was in spring training, he was nails. He has to be on the 40-man because of the Rule 5 protection. And that's part of the trouble, too, is they had to put, 3 players on the 40-man to protect them this year?
Yes.
Kaperniak, Roby, and Hintz. Hintz is not going to pitch this year at all. And when I say pitch, he's not going to pitch in the major leagues this year.
He won't get out of Double-A again this year.
Correct. So you only have one more pitcher on the 40-man, and that's Roby. Unless you're going to bring up, we change our mind and have Sim Roberso start, but you're not going to pick Roberso over McGreevy.
Not at this. I mean, so my argument there would be the only reason why you would do that is you're saying basically Reverse is not going to be fine-tuned enough to be in your starting rotation. Sure, he can start in AAA, but maybe he is a guy that you can put in the bullpen that can have success, much like Liberatore did or Leahy used to be, where he could do 2 innings, and he seems to be good as long as you're not getting him to a point where he's seeing the lineup again.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
That's a great point. You could use him as a bridge man essentially, but then you're keeping Matt's full time in leverage situations.
Right.
You're not going to use him in multiple situations.
Right.
So then the question is, this is a realistic thing. Is a team going to do that to a pitcher in his contract year where he's going to want you either need trade value or he needs value to get a contract?
So,
and I'm saying realistic.
No, I'm with you. You hit on a point that I honestly feel like this is what the front office is doing. They're giving you a taste of Matz as a starter.
Yeah.
So that they can trade him. That's just the reality. You look up and down this line, and again, I'm not realistically, I think there are 3 names that are realistically on the trade block right now.
Yeah.
And that's Fetty, Matz, and Helsley within our pitching staff. Those 3 guys are going to be talked about the closer we get to the trade deadline. You're already seeing rumblings of Helsley's name being mentioned.
Yeah. Teams
wanting to go early. And so, for me, I think the Cardinals brass is going, we're going to let Matt start, every so often, this 6-man rotation, put it under the guise of, hey, we want to save our guys. And I'm not saying that's completely false. Sure, you are doing that. But it's to just show him or show other teams that he can still be a viable option.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's keeping him healthy. Because what's been the biggest hang up on Matt is he can't stay healthy. So let's just give him every 2 weeks he gets a start.
Yeah.
And he only goes 6 innings if he's good.
Yeah, which he got lucky. He got 5 innings out of 60 pitches or something that other day.
And so if he's good, then he gets that, and it shows other teams that, hey, he could do this. He could be a 5th starter for you and potentially be a really good 5th option for you.
Yeah.
And we didn't wear him out this year.
So the one caveat about this situation is moot in, let's just say the second week of May, because the Cardinals have stated they want to do a 6-man for a specific window of time in this game stretch where they have 18 games.
Right.
So Matz will most likely, apparently, it seems, that just going to be in the bullpen full time in that window. After that window is over.
Sure, barring injury, I believe that would be the plan, unless he forces it by going out there and absolutely shoving in his opportunities, which, again, I'm going to
be honest. I don't think, even if he does, I don't think he comes back into the rotation, just simply because I think Liberatore has shown enough, and they want to give him enough, air quotes, runway,
right,
until June. Be like, bro, can you give us 6 innings every 5 days,
right,
for half the season?
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, in the last 10 games, starting pitching hasn't been our issue.
Right.
And Matz hasn't been a part of that.
Yeah, except for the Sunday game.
Yeah. And I mean, you're going to give up those games occasionally.
Oh, yeah.
Every starter does. Yep. So, Fetty giving up the 7 runs on Sunday, as much as I hated it, it's just okay, we won the series. I would have loved the sweep just because we're sitting at 3-7 in the last 10. And it would have been nice to be able to say, it's 4-9.
Yeah.
And some promise, but you won the series. And so in baseball, ultimately, that's all it's about. Win the series. Going in, we got a 4-game set with Cincy starting tonight.
Yep.
You got to win 3 of those 4.
Yeah.
You just do. That's the goal going in. And if it's not, if Ollie's coming to me and says, hey, the best that I think we can do is split, then buckle in, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be a really ugly season.
Yeah. So let's do this. Matz is going to start Wednesday no matter what. they're not going to switch out McGreevy. So second idea, Matz is going to go back into the bullpen after that, and so we're going to be back to the 5 starters and 8 relievers. Is there a change that you would make to swap things out and make it better? Because say Romero and King kind of stay the same and they're not getting better. And then Matz is also there. So then we have 3 lefties, which I believe historically is a lot for a bullpen. Usually it's 2, right?
2 is ultimately probably what you're going to see across the board, unless, again, there are some random players out there that are like Palante that have reverse splits, and so you may only see 1 in a bullpen if you have guys like that.
Right.
So, but yeah, typically it's 2 lefties. If you're a long reliever, I don't think it matters much.
Yeah.
In the sense if you're lefty or righty. I don't think, just looking at our roster and the potential moves, I don't think there's much there that you can do.
Yeah.
There's just outside of an outside move, whether you go pick up, a player on waivers or somebody that just got DFA'd, you go pick them up, which then you're going to have to clear another roster spot.
Yep.
To put them on your team. With where the Cardinals sit right now, unless they go on a little bit of a run, which they can do, you're not really doing a whole lot, because I think, you're just kind of sitting pat with what you have until the trade deadline. Now, if I'm Ollie, I'm maybe advocating a little bit more. Well, if we've got this time, let's see some of these other guys and high leverage situations. Because, again, if record isn't the overall indicator, because air quotes one more time, runway, right?
Yeah.
I want to see what some of these other guys, like, start putting O'Brien back into some pressure situations, see what he is. If he blows it, he blows it. It sucks, but that's the only way you're going to find out. Swanson, the same thing. Like, he's looked good in small doses that we've been able to see. Start giving him a little bit more of, a leash here. Put him into some key moments and see what you have.
I do think Swanson has to pitch more. I think it was crazy. Somebody said the other day on a podcast that he hadn't pitched for 8 days or 6 days, and then came in because he pitched. Did he pitch in the last homestand, or was it the?
It was right after he got called up.
Yeah,
he came in like a game or 2 after he got called up, and then hadn't pitched until the other night.
Right. Let's look at. I can pull that up.
And so
he pitched on 4/17 against the Mets. What was that? Game 3, Game 4, and then it was 10-day difference. Then he pitched Sunday,
but not game difference, because wasn't there a game?
No, but I was making the point.
10 days of rest.
He hadn't pitched in 10 days, which they're going to throw side sessions and bullpen sessions, but still
always do.
Yeah, that's super weird, because everybody was complaining about Helsley. After the 5th day, he needs to pitch no matter what, and that's 10 days. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think Swanson has to pitch more. We have to see what he is. If he's here, if you're not gonna pitch him, you need to swap him out for somebody who you're gonna pitch.
100%. Like, there's no point in him being on the roster if he's not going to get opportunities to throw.
I think I'm gonna throw this move out to you and tell me what you think. So realistic, essentially a swap. So after the start on when Matt's start on Wednesday, it's probably going to be 2 days, maybe 3, that he's not going to pitch again, just to give him the rest that he needs. Then he'll go back in the bullpen. So I'm going to say this move is for that time period. So that will put Matt, Romero, and King in 3 lefties in the bullpen. What do you think about a simple move of just sending King down to see if he can figure some more stuff out? Because his slider and his fastball is just getting barreled, and it's sinking the way it's supposed to. He's a ground ball pitcher, and he's a lefty specialist, and everybody just hitting him super hard. So it's either not moving correctly or he's not spotting it correctly. One of the two.
Right.
Like you said with Fernandez, let's send you down. Hey, we need you to work on this stuff. What do you think about just bringing Munoz back up in that spot? So then we're 2 lefties and 6 righties.
I mean, yeah, it's just hit or miss. I mean, because none of these guys we're talking about have had tremendous amounts of success.
100%. Well, we haven't made. These are all 40-man moves, so we're not doing anything to the roster. Right. Or would you do that, or send King down and bring Robersa up, so he can just be a long man? Hey, dude, go eat 2.5 innings right now. We need it right now. We're not in any good situations. Which would be more valuable?
I mean, I guess it just depends on what you're looking at. If you want to see what you've got in somebody, I think to see what Robersa can be out of the bullpen. Again, this is if you're really set on the fact that he is not going to be a starting pitcher for you, at least not, at the MLB level, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I could see bringing that up or bringing him up in that case. I mean, again, they tried to build in depth. I mean, think about it. They've got Nick Anderson down in the bullpen in AAA.
But we're not talking. Those are non-40-man moves.
I know, but this is why they put those guys in that spot.
Right.
Was for they just wanted people that if the year is shot and all it is becoming is putting people, especially on the offensive side, these young guys in spots to see what they can be, doesn't matter what the outcome is, then I think you make that 40-man roster move and bring Nick Anderson up so you're not destroying the confidence of a young pitcher by just continually throwing him in spots where he's got no hope to shine.
So that's not my first move, but let's do that real quick. So if you want to bring Anderson up, who are you?
King is gone because if he's not,
so you're just going to straight DFA him.
Yeah, if he's not what we need him to be, he's a lefty specialist that's not getting lefties out.
Yeah.
So I just don't have a spot on the roster if Steven Matz is going to be there, and then you talk about Romero being there. Like, to me, take a chance. DFA him. Somebody picks him up. Good on him. Yeah. Good luck, my friend. Have at it, because we're not talking about a young guy. It'd be different if we were talking about...
You mean King isn't not the young guy, or Anderson not?
King.
King, okay.
King's not a young
26,
guy.
26, 27 or something? Is he...
30.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So he's almost 31.
Yeah.
At this point. And again, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to hate on King, but roster-wise, that's what I do there. Unless you want to go down and somebody that's on the 40-man that, like you did with...
Munoz?
Yeah, I mean, well, who's the kid we just...
Takao Roby? Or
no,
Versa?
We just DFA'd.
King?
No, not us, real life.
Ludus?
Yeah.
Well, we can't do that anymore. He's gone.
No. I'm saying unless you want to make another move like that. Like you're picking another player that...
So that's where I'm going to throw something to you. Okay, so I agree with King, but I think it's too early for a DFA because he could spend 2.5 weeks in Memphis and, this is why your fastball's not moving the way it should be. Sweet, we have a good lefty again. Munoz could be terrible. He could be good at the same time. You never know.
Right.
But I don't know that I would make that move until late June.
Right.
I would make that move at that time period. But Ludus was my release option, but they already did that. And the trouble is they filled that spot with a position player. Okay. So the Cardinals just made the move of DFAing Ludus, and they're bringing up Jose Barrero, which is somebody we said should have made the opening day roster. So we are going to have to release somebody else, and the only candidate for me, the move that I would make for it, and this could be a really bad option, it could be a really good option. You never know how it's going to work out. I think I would release Robersa and put Andre Garnillo on the 40-man. He's a pitcher in AAA who's having a really good season right now. I'll bring up his numbers. He's got an ERA of 1.8. He's pitched 10 innings, has 16 strikeouts, has a 1.10 whip. And I'm a whip guy when it comes to bullpen. only 8 hits, only 2 runs, only 1 home run, 3 walks, kind of high. Not too bad. 10 innings, 3 walks.
No.
2.11, a .211 average against. I think I'm going to pick him over Anderson, but I could see the better deal of putting Anderson on the 40 because if you bring him up for 2 weeks and it's not working, he's an easier release candidate.
Right.
For sure. What would you do between the two of those?
I mean, I don't hate that, and I think one of the things that we're not thinking about is, Andre
Granillo is 24, so they're definitely not going to release him.
No. I think you've got opportunities here, even early on, with some of your minor league players to move them to create a 40-man opening. You trade for another player who's not on the 40-man that you can then just put in your minor league system. It frees up a 40-man spot that you can just add somebody without having to DFA anybody.
Trade for cash, you mean?
That
Here's
you
the
could
other
trade
thing.
for another player that doesn't need to be on that's not required to be on your
Right.
40-man.
I'm going to throw this out there. This is an option. So because you just released, you DFA'd Lotus and put Barrero, so you swapped a pitcher for a position player.
Yeah, now you switch a position player for a pitcher on the 40-man.
You know where I'm going?
I don't know the player, but
You could DFA Hellman, who
sure.
we brought over in a trade, which is essentially what you're saying. You should trade cash for a player.
Yeah, I mean, it's same thing.
Yeah. But you could DFA Hellman to put a pitcher now back on the... And I could see them doing that. It was Hellman and Barrero that were the two options for okay, who's going to be our backup shortstop in case Mason Wynn gets hurt, which he did.
Right.
You chose Barrero.
Right.
He got brought up first. Hellman was already on the 40-man, so they had to DFA Lotus to make room for Barrero.
Right.
So now you have these two guys that are both essentially backup shortstop, backup center fielders. Barrero's got a much higher ceiling. So you could release Hellman now to then make room for a pitcher to make that even, essentially those two moves even.
And I mean, and I've got something for you. And I mean, but right now, I mean, you've got Caperniak who's sitting there. He's not coming up.
You don't think so?
He's not. Who are we gonna?
The thing is, though,
who are we gonna move on from?
They decided to protect him, and they didn't have to.
Right. I mean, I understand that, but you protect him because he's gonna get taken for nothing. Like
Right.
there's no compensation.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like right now, you make a move, get a minor league pitcher for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's off your 40-man. The minor league pitcher, as long as he doesn't have the service time, you don't have to worry about protecting him on the 40-man.
So, service time of everybody. I don't know if this counts for other teams because Hellman played on the Twins and he played in the majors. Of all the position players that have service time, none of them have more than a year except for Ciani.
Right.
Which we know they're not going to get rid of Ciani. They love him. They absolutely love him. The only options in this category that we're talking about releasing a position player to make room for another pitcher is either Hellman, Fermin, or Caperniak. And they've had Fermin in the system forever.
Right. And I mean, like that deal to me, that's something that's like the Edmund Sosa type of move. You're going to move him closer to the deadline. Like I'm at the point now, and again, why do you have Luke and Baker sitting on your bench as a third first baseman?
So what are you going to do with him? Move him down?
Trade him.
Trade him?
Put him out there,
but
even
here's the
for
thing.
nothing.
No other team is going to trade for that yet. But if you release him, someone's going to pick him up right away.
Right. I mean, and
so are you going to option him?
Therein lies the problem, right? I mean, that's some of the challenge right now is you've got a lot of players that you're just stuck with.
Mm-hmm.
Because teams aren't going to be willing to make moves. Now, closer you get to the deadline, maybe you can package a couple of these players with somebody else.
Yeah.
To create some space. But, right now, herein lies the problem. Because, again, you talk about Caperniak, right? Like, I mean, did his back come alive and...
He's actually had
spring.
a pretty awful start to the AAA season too.
Right. And so, like, but there's not a spot for him.
Well, and
right
that's
now,
also why they're choosing Barrero.
right. I mean, again, Barrero's got a 900 OPS, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. And Memphis
So,
this year.
like,
That's correct.
it's a smart call up on every level. I mean, right now you're hoping you catch lightning in a bottle with him because he's playing against his former team, the team that drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he comes out with a chip on his shoulder and he's not going to start, but maybe he gets a pinch hit situation and he crushes one.
Yeah. I would probably so when you DFA a player, I believe that the window of time that somebody can pick him up, a trade happens in that case. It's not a team just picks him up. I think they have to give cash for the player. You don't trade another player for him.
Not if it's DFA'd. So if they have a window of about 48 hours where they can just outright claim him. If they claim him, they have to then put him on their 40-man. Okay. And we are no longer, or the team.
They take the contract.
They take the contract.
Yeah. Which in this case, it's just minor league contract.
Right. So which that wouldn't be an issue for another team.
Right.
The challenge right now for all teams when it comes to DFA is do we have a 40-man roster spot? Are we willing to give up a 40-man roster spot? Because this guy has to go on it.
Yeah.
Now, if he's not claimed by any of the other teams, then the team has 7 days from that point to trade him, outright release him, or assign him to a minor league camp.
Oh, okay. So the trade can happen after that 48-hour window. Okay.
Right. But you have to do it within 7 days.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's why, like, Lotus, whatever.
Yeah, Ludus.
There you go. That's why, like, there's no movement. So chances are nobody's going to clear a 40-man roster spot for him. That's why you DFA him.
Yeah.
And ultimately what you're going to do is you're probably not going to trade him because nobody's going to trade for him. So you're just going to reassign him to AAA.
Yeah.
After the 48.
with those fringe players. So my one argument is Baker, if they DFA Baker,
somebody will take a chance on
somebody's
Baker.
going to pick him up.
Right.
They're going to pick up a 28-year-old massive lefty smashing.
Yeah, you look at
DH.
Colorado, you look at some of these teams that are fighting for nothing, Chicago, White Sox, those type of players, like they'll be like,
I could see him in someone like,
we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Like it can't hurt.
But some other teams are going to have to release somebody for him.
Right. And so there's the gamble. And obviously the front office of St. Louis probably has a better picture for the rest of the front offices across the league than we do.
Right.
And so, again, it's a lot of give or take in the front office. This is why, like, if you're just an ordinary fan, this is why I think baseball can be so frustrating to a degree, because you're like, well, just make the move. It's never that simple.
Yeah.
I wish it was. Now, this is why I love baseball, is because there's a lot of strategic thinking that goes into even a simple move as DFAing to bring another pitcher up onto your roster.
That's the fun data and like numbers nerds parts of baseball. So I think going back to the original question though, if we want to bring up Anderson or Granillo as the person that I picked, there's a couple other options as well, but again, they're not 40-man. We have to trade, DFA, or release somebody.
Right.
So with the caveat saying most teams are probably not going to trade this early for a minor leaguer that they're going to put in AAA.
Right.
So we're going to have to DFA somebody
Right.
if we really want to make that move. Out of these options, who are we DFAing?
I mean,
Fermin, Hellman, or Koperniak? Knowing that they're not going to get rid of Ciani, and they're not, obviously Sagasi is going to be protected because
sure, man,
he's a prospect.
Again, I mean, if you're talking about positional players, Hellman's the only one that makes sense to me.
I agree.
That's just the only one. But again, my counterpoint would be I'd rather just go back and DFA King.
Dude, I just don't know that he had a 2 ERA last year.
Right.
Playing all
Somebody's
season
going to
for
pick
you.
him up. Like that's the reality.
Yeah.
King's going to be gone.
And here's also the thing. Let me look at his contract because I feel like that is a valuable piece real quick. Where's it at? So he has, let me go to roster resource. Sorry, guys. We're almost there. Because how much control does he have left? Where is...
All right, here's the only other thing while you're looking that up.
Yeah.
Is you just stand pat until Herrera comes back. And then Pozo has to go down. He's not staying up.
Yeah, that doesn't clear a 40-man spot, though.
He's going to get DFA'd.
You think so?
Because nobody's going to pick him up.
100% the Cardinals love him.
I'm not saying they don't.
So,
But they DFA him, let him clear waivers because he's not getting picked up as a third catcher.
yeah.
And then you just put him back on your minor league roster.
We have control of King. So he just entered his first ARB year. And he has, no, this is his second ARB year right now. So he has, and he's a 4 ARB guy.
So 2 more years.
So we have him until the end of 27.
Right.
So my caveat with getting rid of him somehow is he's too valuable to just get rid of right now, simply because of how good he's been before, which means the potential and the skill is there, and he needs to work on something somehow, somewhere. And it's either going to be up here or down there. So if we just get rid of him, we're losing that because we also get rid of Mats this year or halfway through the year.
Right.
And so we're going to need a lefty again.
Right. I mean, and here's the thing, and this is why I say, like, I mean, it's fun to sit here and be GM. It's fun to sit here and be the president of baseball operations. But this is why the Cardinals aren't going to do anything. They're not going to make a move. They're going to ride it out with King where he's at until we get closer to the trade deadline, where roster spots become available because of trades. Because, you know, again, you go back to it. Let's say we trade Fetty, we trade Helsley, we trade Mats. Those are 3 40-man roster spots that become available depending on what you're trading for.
Yeah.
If you're trading for minor leaguers, they don't necessarily have to go on your 40-man roster.
Right.
So, again, that's why I think like they're just looking at it going, we hope that they figure it out while they're up here.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, we weren't counting on competing this year anyway.
Probably.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Like, and it sucks as a fan. Like, it drives me completely bonkers to think that way.
Yeah.
Because I look at, you know, you talk about it. I mean, I've looked at some of these pitchers. I mean, we've got McGreevy sitting down in the minors. There's nothing left for that young man to prove in the minors.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yep, I agree with that.
Right? You've got some of these young guys, and it's like, all right, so we keep talking about wanting to clear runway, then clear it. And that may mean you're going to miss on somebody like taking a 31-year-old left-handed reliever that's a specialist, and you're going to DFA him because you want to bring up a younger guy to see what he has. And so what if he goes to another team and finds himself again?
That's what happened. That's how we got him in the first place.
Right. He's not competing. He's not helping you compete right now.
Yeah.
He's not giving you an advantage on the field, and he's not giving you a look at anybody else that you want to get a look at.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, it may not be the smartest move, in my opinion, but like,
so yeah, that's bullish, but
it's
a lot of GMs do it.
That's how I would. I mean, that's how I would operate. So if you're an MLB team, you want somebody that's kind of reckless, give me a call. Right.
That's an AJ Preller move right there from the Padres. So I disagree slightly with the thing is there is one move that can be made to make your bullpen better, just because the move they just made to bring Barrero, they got rid of a pitcher to bring up a position player, so it's an unbalanced situation. So I think a realistic move is to get rid of Hellman or Fermin, which Hellman I think would be the candidate, and give another one of these. And I mentioned Anderson, Granillo, probably Anderson. You're right.
I mean, I would love to see Granillo. I really would. Like, you're talking a young guy, give him an opportunity.
Right. See
what he's got. But when you say that too, like you look at the age. So Hellman's 26, almost 27.
Mm-hmm.
Jose Fermin's 26, early 26.
Grunew's
Siani's going to be
24.
26.
Yep.
Koperniak is 27.
Yep.
So every guy you're talking about is on that, on the fringe of what you would consider their prime years.
The 4A players.
Right. Like, because will Hellman be a legitimate starter in MLB? Probably not. Let's be honest. He's probably going to be like a Jose Fermin type of guy.
Yep.
He gives you a little bit more versatility because he can play both outfield and infield. I know they tried that with Fermin, and not that he's a horrid left fielder, but he has only done it for the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's kind of got a little bit of a weak arm for
Right.
outfield position.
Because he's a second baseman. Like,
Yeah.
that's what he is. And Hellman's the same. Like, don't get me wrong. He's a second baseman, but he can play center field. Like, that to me, so it's like you're just trying to decipher which one of these guys is.
That's why I don't think it's that big of a deal in hindsight, and it's realistic. I do think you're right in saying Anderson would be the first choice because if he doesn't work, they can get rid of him.
Yeah,
really quickly.
you're not losing anything.
Yeah, you're not going to lose a prospect for it or anything like that.
Right, you're not damaging somebody's confidence, ego, any of that magnitude.
Yeah.
It's just give him a shot. If you catch lightning in a bottle, like you did with Fernandez last year, awesome, great, wonderful. We'll ride it out until his arm falls off.
Right.
But
and for those that don't know Anderson, I forgot his first name.
Nick
Anderson. No, it's not Nick, is it? That's somebody we know.
No, Nick Anderson.
Oh, okay. Nick Anderson used to be an elite closer for the Rays, like 17, 18, 19 area, and he was like super elite.
Yeah, we got him as a free agent from Baltimore.
Yeah.
In this offseason. We signed him to basically a non-roster invitee to spring training. He obviously didn't make the 40-man. He got reassigned in spring training, and he's been down in the minors ever since. He's not – look at his numbers. Nothing's like – he's not electric by any stretch.
In the minors?
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, so he got injured in 2021, maybe, end of 2020 and 21. But man, from 19 to, I guess, 2020.
Right. Those 2 years were electric.
His some insane stuff.
Right. But I mean, you look, obviously,
Then
the
he got
last, few years, it's just, is what it is.
Yeah, I pitched for Miami and Tampa. And then 23. Yeah, he's just not been the same since he got hurt.
Right. And so again, I think it really just comes down to if you want to see a young guy or you just want to use innings. Like that, to me, that as simple as it might sound, if you're not wanting to burn a young man's arm early, then make the move to bring someone like Nick Anderson up.
I see it more as like, okay, this is an option to make us a little better right now. It might work, it might not. If it doesn't work, who cares? Then we can try somebody else. Yeah.
I mean, he may be somebody that you can call up and get you to the trade deadline, and then there's a whole lot more flexibility that comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah. So last thing, I'm going to throw this to you, and because we haven't talked about this at all. What do you think's going on with Jordan Walker? So his last 7 games, I'm going to pull this up. He is on a massive, massive slump lately.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
He is whiffing at, when I say whiffing, he's swinging and missing at low breaking balls. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's not as selective at all as he first started the season out. So the last 7 games, he is hitting to an average of 115, an OPS of 294. I guess he's got 8 strikeouts and 26 at bats, which that strikeout percentage is. I can't do math, and this isn't pull it up. That's pretty bad. What do you think's going on?
I mean, I think it's adjustment period.
Yeah.
I think teams are adjusting to him. They thought he was going to start swinging and missing at that slider like he did in previous years. He laid off of it early. And if you watch, a lot of them are coming back in with the fastball and setting him up for that away. And he's biting on that tremendously right now.
Right.
And it could be as simple as, and again, I'm not in his head, but it could be as simple as he's sitting on a breaking ball, trying to do too much in the sense of kind of like Nolan Arenado last year. He's wanting the breaking ball to go the opposite way, and it's like, stop. Hunt the heater and react to anything else. That would be my suggestion to him. You made a keen notice of his stance, shifting a little bit. I wonder if they're going to try and get him back into that mix where he closes off a little bit more.
Which the game on Sunday was a Sunday. He was closed again. Well, mostly closed again.
Right. And he had a hit.
Yeah.
He was 1 for 4. Now
it's kind of a hit.
Right. I mean, it is what it is.
You
it counts as a hit.
Yeah, you take that win.
Right. At least right now, you take that win.
So is he someone you're concerned about?
I mean, no, just because you got to see it. Like, now, if this is him all year, okay, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But again, you talk about runway, and again, I love the dude. I'm hoping he hits on every level.
Yeah.
But this is what you got to see. You got to see if he can get out of this.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is his exit velo is dropping. He started the year off hitting the ball extremely hard, even when he wasn't getting on base. It was still hard hit balls.
Yeah.
And it's starting to come down a little bit.
Yeah. And that's the thing, as I'm looking at his Savant page, everything is expected because there's not enough data yet.
Right.
And all the expected stats have dropped.
Right. And now watch, because he's playing in Cincy tonight, he's going to go out and hit like a 375-foot bomb.
And we'd be fine
just
with
to
that.
spite us, right?
That would be awesome.
I'd love it.
I'd take it. So you're not worried about him yet or concerned yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I mean,
right.
let's talk about that after the All-Star break, because then I can tell you if I'm concerned or not.
Okay.
Right? Because that would be the same thing. Like, I could go, are you concerned about Win?
No.
Why?
So the start of the season was a problem, and he fixed it. Well, I'm going to say he hasn't fixed it. He has made progress towards fixing it. And his problem is bad swing decisions. Obviously, he's still chasing sometimes, but he's already a contact-oriented hitter, meaning kind of like Burleson in the way, although he swings and misses more than Burleson, when he puts his bat towards a pitch, he's going to hit it. It might be bad contact a lot of the time, but he's working on his swing decisions, and you see it paying off. He's getting hard hits, which barreling is what's good. Bad contact is bad. Burleson is not making good contact at all. But because in the last 10 games, ever since he's been back on the IL, really, and even the few games before the IL, that's gotten better. And the thing with him is he provides the other elite side of the ball, whereas Walker is just average.
Not this year.
I mean, okay, 2 outs above average. That's just slightly above average.
But that's a big jump from what he was last year.
Totally. But if you're going to compare the two, Win at shortstop is better than Walker.
I'm not arguing the defensive side, because I'm not going to win that. Just be honest.
Am I concerned about Scott? Slightly, but not as bad. Not like Walker, but he provides more tools. Is the other thing,
right? And I mean, again, if here's the big caveat: if Walker's bat does not come around, he doesn't provide much else for the team overall. And so you're right about that. But I think too, just like you've seen, and this is a product of having a young team. We've talked about it before. I believe the youngest team in MLB average wise for their positional starters. Yeah. Not pitching, but the positional side of things, right? This is what you get. Again, going to who we play tonight, look at the Reds. Yeah. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. There are young guys that are being asked to step up and perform in big ways. Now, the Reds are edging us a little bit better because their pitching's been a little bit better overall.
Yeah, they just have better pitching.
Right. But their hitters, they're going to go up. It's up and down. Your hope is Donovan.
They also have a ballpark that is very conducive.
Right. That helps them tremendously. Like, again, I'm not, those things, they play a part, whether you want to believe it or not. Like, that's why I said, let's look tonight. Because, again, when you go up and down offensively, the Cardinals are one of the better teams in MLB offensively.
Yeah, we're still in the top 10.
Right. So, to me, I'm not overly concerned with that. You know, now, as we get closer to the All-Star break, if nothing is changing and his approaches aren't there, then, yeah, there's going to be some questions.
Yeah.
Right? Because what adjustments has he made?
Right.
Because I go back to even VS2. You saw him. He started the year off pretty hot, went through a lull, came back, was hot again, now seems to be kind of, you know, middling a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that he's been bad, but it's not the same clip.
Right.
Walker started off hitting not like lights out, but well for him. He was patient, taking pitches. He's hit a little bit of a dip now. Can he make that adjustment to come back?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
I 100% agree with you. And that's why I honestly think this is more fun than... Now, it's not more fun than watching a World Series contender win 17 or 18 games right now, obviously. But with the cards, no pun intended, that we've been dealt, this is really fun to watch young players and see what they are over a long period of time.
Right.
And Victor Scott and Wynn together are really entertaining to me.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, again, whatever lies, whether this is the team we get to see all season or changes are made and it goes up or down.
Yeah.
Like, try and enjoy what you're watching now instead of, you know, and I know, again, when you're talking to the casual fan, this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge for you, but my challenge for you from this podcast is stop looking at the scoreboard as much and watch the individual battles that are going on in the game. And I think you'll find some enjoyment there, even if the Cardinals aren't having success. Because the reality is they've been in the most one-run games, I think, of anybody this year.
Yeah. We've been in every game except for that one in Boston.
Right. I mean, so it's good baseball. Yep. We just haven't been on the right side of a lot of those one-run games.
And honestly, they're playing really well at home.
Yeah.
So when you go to Busch Stadium, you're going to see good baseball.
Yeah. So that, you know, that's just my 2 cents.
That's a good 2 cents. I'd take those 2 pennies. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Leave us a comment on X, Twitter, whatever, and YouTube, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.